Seriously, raise your hands. Front row, right hand.
Hey, Ryan, just your thoughts on the quarterback situation going into fall camp. How do you think that's going to shake out, and are you comfortable with those guys, regardless of who it is?
Well, I think if you look can everybody hear me? I think if you look at last year, going into the season, we really didn't know who the quarterback was going to be then either. If it was going to be Blake, if it was going to be Jake. One thing I do know is this year there's 5 guys who are all great candidates. I don't mean candidates in a way that we're not friends with them. They're great guys. They're great leaders in the locker room. Everybody likes to be around them. So regardless of who ends up starting when we're in Dallas, I know they're going to do a great job. They're going to be a great team leader. They're going to have great energy because that's what those guys do. Especially in a position where only one of them can play. We've seen a lot of leadership out of them just because the young guys are getting taught by the older guys, and they're just having a great time out there competing, and that's what you want to do, and that's what makes our team better. So regardless of who's out there on when we're in Dallas, they're going to do a great job.
Hey, Ryan, Steve Nissom, WEAR Pensacola. I know last season didn't end the way you guys wanted to. How did that game kind of affect the mindset in the offseason?
Obviously, I don't want to take away from what we did last year. Last year was a great season for us, and we won the SEC championship, and it was a lot of fun for a lot of guys. The last 2 years, obviously, we haven't finished the way we want to. And one of the biggest things that we're trying to do this year is to reestablish the standard of Alabama. We got enough guys on our team who won national championships in 2012. I was here in 2011 as one of the older guys on the team now. And one of the things that we have to do is when the young guys come in, we got to set the standard high for those guys. They got to know that this isn't just any other ordinary place. This is Alabama, and this is what we do. Back in the day, or a couple years ago, we were feared as a team that nobody wanted to play. And I think we kind of got away from that this year, and that's the one thing we want to do and get back to last year and this year is to be a team that no one wants to play. And when they walk away, they say they don't want to play our team again. So that's one of the things we want to get back to.
Hey, Ryan. A lot of players departing on the offense, one Amari Cooper, as well as 2 other wide receivers. What do you see happening at that position, and is it going to take several players to fill his shoes?
Well, I mean, if you try to replace Amari Cooper, it's never going to happen. Everybody has a different skill set, and that guy was unbelievable. He's a great player. But I think one of the biggest things that Coach Kiffin does is he, tailors our offense to the people's advantages. So last year was Blake, and I think no matter who we put in that game, we're going to have a great team. You look at the wide receivers we have; all of them can run fast, jump, catch, and every running back can run fast, and that's just the way we are. No matter what guy goes in there, they're going to be just good or even if better than other guys that goes in there. So for us, it's not about replacing guys. It's about finding our strengths and our weaknesses and playing to our strengths. And as an offensive line, speaking on behalf of them, I know that what we have to do is we have to create holes for the guys that are running the backfield, protect the quarterback. And as long as we can do that, I think we're going to be great as an offense.
What's the coaching staff focusing on in the off season? What are they telling you guys need to focus on for the 2015 season?
I think it's attention to detail and finishing. Honestly, every coach that's been here has been here long enough to know that this is a special place. All those guys come from different places, and they realize that at Alabama we do things a lot differently. And I think especially because the last 2 years, the way we've ended the season, that's been the biggest emphasis is how we finish. So no matter what, if it's a drill, if it's a wind sprint we have doing, that's the one word that continues to come out of people's mouths is finishing, because you start to build habits out of that, and you look at the later in the season, maybe those things that we did in the off season will start to come back to us. So that's been the coach's number one goal, and another thing that all the coaches are stressing is there can never be a time where you don't know. A lot of guys that come in, they don't know the offense, but if you don't know, you should be in there learning. We don't ever want to get in a situation where a guy goes into a game doesn't know, obviously. So those are probably two of the biggest things.
Lauren Sisler, WIAT 42. You talk about establishing an identity and trying to put away those identities from years past. What is different about this team? What stands out to you the most about this team for 2015?
I would say it's the selflessness. These guys, there's never been a time, yet where, guys have just been all about themselves. It's always been about the team first. And I think when you have that as a team, that's where everybody can come around. And, the leadership group on this team, I think, is very special. That's one of the things that Coach Saban, holds high and in his regards is the leadership committee that we have, because those guys are the guys that are going to be influencing the young guys in the entire team. You can't let some negative guys bring down all the positive things that we're trying to get accomplished. And I think that the positive attitudes that we've had so far throughout the spring and then the off season have been great. I think that's one of the biggest things that is going to drive us further is how we approach things, and things are going to get tough. It's not going to get easier from here. Obviously camp is very hard and very challenging, and so is the season. Week in, week out, it's going to be a grind. But I think the attitude of the team so far is totally willing to take on that challenge.
Steve Nissom, WEAR Pensacola. When Jake Coker came in last year, he came in the fall, didn't have a lot of time to get acclimated. What kind of differences have you seen in him in the spring now that he's been with the program for a year?
Well, when a player comes in like he did, you can't just expect him to come in and make friends right away. We've had guys on the team that I've been friends with for 4 or 5 years and actually built real relationships. And I think Jake understood that as a player coming in. I think that he was kind of hesitant at first, but now that he's been here for a year, I think he's made strong enough relationships, and enough guys have known him and got to know him well enough to know that he's going to be there he's going to have their back. So I think he's one to trust over every single person in that locker room. And I couldn't say enough about Jake and every quarterback in the general. Those guys are all a real good group of guys, and I wish they were up here as well to talk about it. But I know they put the all the praise on other guys as well, and I can't just. This is a great group of guys.
How's Blake adjusting at the next level? Blake Barnett.
It's obviously it's a little bit different. He's actually done really well for himself, and I think coming in the springtime as a quarterback is pretty big, especially because just the offense from a high school offense to a college offense is so different. And but that's another thing I talked about before. If you look at a guy like Jake or any of those older guys, Alec, all those guys take Blake underneath their wing and show him the way, when they very well could, because they're, only one of them can start. They could value, they very could have just, said, learn it yourself or anything like that. But those guys are such team players that they really helped Blake out a lot, and he's made a lot of progress.
Hey, Ryan. Jacques Doucet, WAFB in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You've been with the program for a long time. What has the Nick Saban experience been like for you? What has it meant to you, your growth as a player and a young man?
I mean, it's been incredible. When I first signed up, I never really knew, just how vast and the detail orientation of, if he goes about his day, and it's made me the man I am today. Just the assets that he surrounds himself with, every player. If a player needs something, he's going to get it for him. And I think that's one of the biggest things that separates Coach Saban and Alabama from other places is just the detail that he goes into and the preparedness that we go into every single season. There's never going to be a game where we don't know what they're going to do, their tendencies, and so not only in football but off the field. I've got he allowed me to get a master's. I'm about to get my master's degree, which I never thought or dreamed of when I first signed on. So it's been the greatest experience of my life, and it's obviously made me the man who I am today.
What's it like working with Cam Robinson, and what did he prove last year in his freshman season?
For Cam to come in, let me first say this: Cam is like one of the most talented guys I've ever met. You look at him, just a tall guy who can bend really well, and for him to come in and start left tackle, I think it was every single game last year on the SEC is very impressive. I couldn't say enough about the guy and the strides that he's made. Obviously coming in, offensive line is a different position when it comes into playing right away. It's just you got to take into size consideration, all the calls, everything that the offense. You go from being the biggest guy in high school to not being the biggest guy in college. So I think Cam has made a huge stride this past spring and really learning the techniques of the offense and his position. So playing next to Cam has been great. We're the two guys who are coming back as starters on the offense, and he's gonna have a new guy playing next to him, and I'm gonna have new guys playing next to me. So I'm really looking forward to Cam, stepping into a leadership role, even as a young guy, and really teaching the guys about what it's like playing in the SEC.
What have the LSU victories meant for you guys in recent years, in particular 2012 and 2014 when you went into Tiger Stadium and found a way to win?
Well, yeah, anytime you can go to Tiger Stadium at night and win, it's a great victory. And I think that's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the most special things about the SEC is that any game you're going to play, an away game or at a home game, it's going to be a big game. You know, even if it doesn't matter where you're at. There's going to be a great crowd, and I think at Alabama you obviously get that because we always have a target on our back, and those have been some of the most fun games of my life, and I'll never forget those. Especially last season, going down the very end of the fourth quarter and then going into overtime. It was a great time, and I think those memories and the guys that you play with on those teams, that's what really cares. That's what makes it fun and keeps you coming back for more.
Stu McCann, ABC 3340. When you have a player coming back from injury, say like Kenyan Drake, I'm sure you don't really know what you're going to see, but what is he kind of showing you? He looks like he's really motivated to come back and really make something this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask any college football player in the SEC if they've had a major injury or surgery, I think they would say yes. And I think, Kenyan, I think the way he's come back from his injury just shows the kind of guy that he is. Watching him run for the first time in the spring, it was, if you were on that field at the Ole Miss game, it was just like shocking because, you looked at injury, you're like, man, that's pretty bad. But the way that Kenyan, he didn't think of it as being a bad thing. He was like, all right, I got one last season. It's time to bust my butt and get back in shape. And I think he's done that. He looks great. He's even bigger than he was before, running just as good. Obviously, it's going to take a little time, but I think he's done a great job throughout the offseason and the summertime to get back to where he was before. And I know when he's in that game or any running back for that matter, they're going to be running as fast as they can downhill. So.
Hey, Chris Price, WBRZ Sports 2 in Baton Rouge. You guys seem to have this streak of 10-win seasons where it doesn't matter who comes out and who comes in, new players, and that run of success has continued. What's the formula? How does that continue to work so well?
I think it's I'm going to say cliche here, but it's the process. I mean, everybody wants to talk about it, but it's the real thing. No matter who you bring in, we're not going to change our standard for who you are. If this is a Bama way, this is a special place. It's not for everybody to come to. And I think that's one of the biggest things that Coach Saban's drilled in is that, when you come here, you're a part of something bigger than yourself. And I think every guy that's had success here has partaken in that and has followed the rules and done what Coach Saban's done, and they've been successful. So I think, all the successes and what he's proven so far, you can't get around it. It's hard work, it's dedication, and it's about being a good person as well. And I don't think that there can be any budge for that, especially at this level and with the standard that we've set. So.
Taylor Tannenbaum, WTVY. At practice, you go up against this front seven of the Alabama defense, one that's expected to be one of the best in the country this year. Is the hype real? What makes them so great?
I mean, those guys are great. When you can go against those guys, every single day before the game, during the week or whatever, you're going against the best defense in the SEC or in the country as well. So those guys make us better. You look at, the down linemen all the way to the linebackers. I mean, those guys are the best that, those guys are the best in the country and the best in the SEC. Those guys are big. I don't want to go through every single one of them because they're all different, but they're always going to be fighting, and that's what we do. We get after it. Offensive line, defensive line. We get after it in the summertime as well, and that's what drives competition. That drives our team to be better. So.
Garrett Mathangani with WEAC right here to your left.
Gotcha.
Talk about recruiting from a player's perspective, and you're now far enough away from the process from when you were recruited to see how Nick Saban and the coaching staff recruits other guys. Talk about just that process overall, and it seems like every single year they're pulling out top 2, top 3, top 4 classes, despite having the fact that you have 4 and 5 stars according to the recruiting rankings already on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think the recruiting thing is such a, I don't know. It's been so long since I've done it, but honestly, I don't know if we really beg guys to come to Alabama. Like, I don't think unless you come and you experience it, if you're not committed right off the bat, then I don't think they're going to beg you to come. You know what I'm saying? This is a special place, not for everybody, like I said before. Like, there's a lot of history here. We do things a lot differently at Alabama than a lot of other places. So, like I said, the guys who are committing here want to be the best and they want to win. So I think that's the biggest thing that Coach Saban's done is he's brought in people that are driven to win. And when you have guys like that and you can put it all together, that's what made it so special. So, we try to eliminate, guys who just don't pan out. And sometimes that's the way it is. This is college football. But for the most part, Coach Saban and all the coaches have done a great job of recruiting guys who year in and year out, commit to the program, and now you see them playing on Sundays. So I think we've done a great job, and as long as Coach Saban's here, we'll continue to have great success.
I think that we've all seen, or on TV or there in person, what you guys go through on game day with Walk of Champions and stuff like that leading up to the game. When you walked into the Winfrey today, did that even compare? I mean, seeing all those people in the lobby, is that an impressive thing? Does that even show up on the Richter scale?
No. When you walk in on Walk of Champions, I was here in 2011 when we played at home versus LSU, it was game of the century, whatever you want to call it. And I've never seen anything like that. I grew up, going to a lot of college football games. I've never seen something like that in my life. But when you walk through the front doors of the hotel and you see Alabama people, it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. We're only 35, 40 minutes away, but I think we have one of the best fan bases in all of college football. They're going to travel wherever we're at. They're going to be there, and it just goes to show you the support that you have when you come in here.
Just being the standard bearer for the SEC in that first college football playoff last year, to lose in the semifinals, to not have an SEC representative in the national championship game. Your own disappointment, I know, is a part of that too, but to not have an SEC team in the national championship game in that first playoff, was there any level of disappointment to that, as part of the representative of the conference?
Yeah, we'd like to have the conference representative there, but for us, it wasn't about them. It was about us. It wasn't anything that they did. It's about, I'll give you to this. Ohio State had a great team. They did. But whenever we lose, we look back at the film. We had them. There's things that we did. We shot ourselves in the foot numerous times. So we're not going to compare to last year, but obviously that's not the way we want to finish. But we always, when we lose, you look back at it, it's usually what we do. And we've never really gone to a game where we didn't think we could win. And I'll give it to Ohio State. They played a great game, but that's obviously not the way we wanted to finish. And that's why this offseason has been such a driving force, and that we have to finish every single game we play, because the last 2 seasons we just haven't done it. We haven't got it done. We could say we had a 10-2 season, that it was a good season, pat on the back, but at Alabama, the bar is set a little bit higher than that. And that might not be other places, but that's just the way it is here. And that's why I say Alabama is a lot different than other places.
Dane Young, WRBL, Columbus, Georgia. This year you'll return to Jordan-Hare Stadium for the first time since that kick 6. How many times have you seen that play, and what's it going to be like to return there?
Seen it multiple times. It's a memory that never leaves your head, obviously. It's a great place to play, and that's always certainly a really fun game is the Iron Bowl, and everybody looks forward to it every year. But all we're focused on this year, right now, is getting better this offseason and then working in Wisconsin. We'll get there when we cross that bridge, but I think there's enough guys on the team who were there and remember that game to make it special. So we're going to give everything we got and prepare like we usually do.
Last question right here.
Ryan, when you're a part of a program that's as successful as you guys are and win almost all the time, people will root against you. to that point, the T-shirt and bumper stickers made when the team is fortunate enough to beat you. Do you guys kind of enjoy, that role of people rooting against you because you've had so much success?
Yeah. So when you play at Tiger Stadium, you come out there and you hear all the boos. And you win. That's fun. That's fun. You get to impose your will on an opponent. But for us, that's all that stuff is. It's fun in the short run. But hoisting up a national championship title, that's the real goal. And that's the real fun stuff. And getting national championship rings and all that kind of stuff. And remembering seasons with a lot of great players. That tops anything that a fan could make or anything like that. So.
Okay, thank you very much.